Yeshaha, this King Prithu, Dharma Pratam, of persons executing religious activities. Shreshtaha, the best. Lokam, the whole world. Dharme, in religious activities. Anuvartayan, engaging them properly. Gopta, the protector. Cha, also. Dharma setunam, of the principles of religion. Shasta, the chastiser. Tat paripantinam, of those who are against religious principles. This king, Maharaj Prithu, is the best amongst those who are following religious principles. As such, he will engage everyone in the pursuit of religious principles and give those principles all protection. He will also be a great chastiser to the irreligious and atheistic. Purport: the duty of the king or the head of the government is described very nicely in this verse. It is the duty of the governmental head to see that people strictly follow a religious life. A king should also be strict in chastising the atheists. In other words, an atheistic or godless government should never be supported by a king or governmental chief. That is the test of good government. In the name of secular government, the king or governmental head remains neutral and allows people to engage in all sorts of irreligious activities. In such a state, people cannot be happy despite all economic development. However, in this age of Kali, there are no pious kings. Instead, rogues and thieves are elected to head the government. But how can the people be happy without religion and God consciousness? The rogues exact taxes from the citizens for their own sense enjoyment. And in the future, the people will be so much harassed that according to Srimad Bhagavatam, they will flee from their homes and country and take shelter in the forest. However, in Kali Yuga, democratic government can be captured by Krishna-conscious people. If this can be done, the general populace can be made very happy. Om Jnana-timirandhasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshurn Militam Jena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhistam Sthapitam Jena Bhutale Swayam Rupakada Mahyam Dadhati Shapadantikam Bandehang Shri Guru Shri Jatapadakamalang Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Shagrajatam Shahagana Raganatan Vitam Stam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Shahagana Lolita Sri Vishakhan Vitamscha. Hey Krishna Karuna Sindho Dina Bandho Jagat Pate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hori Priye Vancha Kolpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindho Bhyevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namah Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaur Bhaktivinoda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Esha Dharma Vritam Shrestha Esha Dharma Vritam Shreshto Lokam Dharme Nivartayan Gopta Chadharma Setunam Shasta Tat Paripantinam. The Evam Parampara Praptam Imam Rajarshiho Vidu. Lord Krishna instructed the principles of Bhagavad Gita to the kings, to the king of the sun planet, and it was coming down to the Rajarshis in the Parampara system. There are so many Rajarshis mentioned in Srimad Bhagavatam, and now Prithu Maharaj. The idea is the best government is the monarchical government, in which someone cultured, God-conscious, trained, and powerful administers the state. Not a big assemblies of bureaucracy for taking money and doing nothing good. The king should be so, first of all, God conscious. Without God consciousness, harava bhaktasya kato madguna manoratena sati davato bahi. Without God consciousness, the state will be an unhappy mess. The leader of the state will be a rogue. The people of the state will be unguided and undisciplined. Everything will be a failure. So first of all, there should be a powerful leader, and he should be, don't sit that way in front of the teeth. It's like that. There should be a powerful leader, and he should be cultured and trained so that he can properly lead the state. If he's not cultured and trained, then he'll be despotic, and if he's not powerful, he'll be useless. So both things need to be there. He needs to be powerful, and he needs to know what to do according to religious principles, dharma pratam. He should properly follow prescribed duties. He should properly follow prescribed duties, and loke dharma nuvartayan. He should engage the people in general in performing prescribed duties. Gopta dharma cha dharma setuna. He should protect the principles of dharma. What is that? Dharma rakshati. He should protect religious principles. And shasta tat paripantino. He should vigorously subdue those who are atheistic. It doesn't just mean those who have a particular view, but those who promote a dharma in the state. Something. Those who promote a dharma in the state, who promote What are you doing? Thank you for the photo opportunity. You're just in the way. This is Dharma in Kali Yuga. We don't hear Srimad Bhagavatam, we take pictures of the class. Hare Krishna. And those who promote godless views, and those who promote intoxicants, gambling, meat eating, illicit sex, they should be very strongly dealt with. These You can just close the door. You don't have to harass her, just close the door. Yeah, without God consciousness, the heads of state will simply be rogues, and they'll squeeze money out of the citizens by one means or another. They'll do all sorts of vicious things. People in general are not aware of how vicious the modern governments are. They're aware to some extent of how vicious other governments are. We can point to China, we can point to this one and that one and say, oh, very bad government. But we never... In your new temple, are you going to have the temple room the same as the place for the class, or are you going to have the present system? You might want to think about that. In the present system, everyone wants to come for darshan, and the class is hopeless. There's, as you can see, competition between the need for darshan and the need for hearing. You might want to think about that when you plan for your new place. Both needs are there, and they don't fit very well together. All right, any questions? Comments, questions? Yes? Maybe, since we have a democratic government by the people, so if the people become Krishna conscious, then they can demand that their leaders be Krishna conscious. Who knows? Might possibly happen. But we can't wait for the leaders to become Krishna conscious as far as possible. Make everyone Krishna conscious, leaders, not leaders. And let's see what Krishna may desire. But it's possible. Yeah. I don't have more to say about it. I'm not real optimistic about it, but it's possible. Some other question? As you might remember from yesterday, I'm half deaf, and therefore I need you to speak up. You should know what the religious principles are. And Soryam Tejo Dritir Daksham Yudeja Pyapalayanam Dhanam Ishvara Bhavascha should be a Kshatriya, these qualities. Powerful, Soryam Teja, Driti, determined, Daksha, expert. He should never flee from a challenge. Should be generous, charitable. Ishvara Bhav, and he should have a take-charge mentality. There was in Pakistan some years ago that General Musharraf, I think, took charge of the government. They had a bloodless coup and overthrew the existing regime. Am I right? General Musharraf? Yeah. So he and the generals took over. And they, after some months, he was interviewed by a newspaper. And the newspaper asked, when you're going to have elections, and what about this, and what about that, and various political questions. And at the end, they asked a personal question. Are you happy with what you're doing? And he said, to tell you the truth, I like being in charge. So that's the Kshatriya Bhav. The Kshatriya is not happy being a follower, being someone who just takes orders. He needs to be in charge. The Pandavas said, give us each a village, we'll be all right. But we have to be in charge somewhere. So Ishvara Bhav means the take charge mentality. That has to be there. Not just a person who looks around to see what everybody else says. It takes charge. And you'll see that. And there are some who, that's what they want to do. They want to take charge. There's something happening. They take charge. They don't wait to see how things unfold, put their finger in the air to see which way the wind's going to blow. Go out and do a survey and count votes. They take charge. And they do it quickly. They don't wait. Those qualities. Should be affectionate to the citizens. They should feel that the citizens are like my children. And if the citizen has a problem, it's my problem. They should be so concerned. The kings would travel and they would be open. Anyone can come. Sir, this is the problem. And on the spot they would fix it. No lumbering, belabored process. On the spot. Issue orders. Don't worry. In the Islamic countries, they've had that till recently. Middle East. King would tour, ruler would tour, and anyone could present, sir, this is the problem. And of course in India. From one analysis, it may be that the Middle Eastern rulers are descended from the Indian rulers. So many were driven out by Parshuram. Anyway. Is that all right? Okay. Something else? Yes.
In the previous shlokas, King Prithu clearly said that the qualities which these three types of holy people, Suta, Madara and Mandi, they were actually glorified, but clearly Maharaj Prithu said that those qualities did not yet manifest in you. That these people actually, going by the advice of their superiors, they are still glorifying them. So how do we understand?
How do we understand what?
How do we understand? How do we, like, they are justified? On one end, they are being told that they're not to glorify, but Maharaj Prithu is saying that those qualities did not manifest.
Yes, so what question do you want answered?
So do they just have to oblige or follow the instructions of their superiors in spite of the unwillingness?
Which superiors?
I think it said in the previous shlokas that the sages, they would advise you. It says that
Okay,
instructions.
I'm reading it. Yatopadesha munibhi prachodita. Yes, we're encouraged by the instructions of the munis. It doesn't say the munis ordered them. Upadesh is an instruction, but it need not be, all right, you guys get out there and chant prayers. It doesn't say that. Tapyudara shavasa pratur herde kalavatara sikatamritara. This is what they are. They're glorifiers. There's a section of people whose job it is to glorify great persons, undis and so on. So they're doing it, but they're not doing it just whimsically. They're taking instruction from great sages about Prithu Maharaj's characteristics or about the characteristics of a king. So they're not just poets who just say anything and everything. They're yata upadesha. They're glorifying the Lord according to the instructions of sages. That's all. Sounds like you have an agenda, though. You have another question that you want to ask through this question. You want to ask something about following authorities and all of that kind of stuff. You can just ask it straight out. Yeah, it's not a criticism. If you have a question like that, just ask it. Frame it and ask it. No? Okay. Yes.
So we heard, so ideal leaders should be, they should know what the real proper culture is and they should be strong also. So how should the ideal follower be?
Ideal followers? How should they be? They should, if they have a good leader, they should follow. Ideal follower? You just take it. If it's good, take it. There's a general tendency. There's leaders and there's followers. I have one godbrother, he's a natural leader. And then, anyway, there was some difficulty, this, that. When I saw him next, he had a whole group of followers. Not a big group, but a small group. And he was the leader, because that's who he is. He's a leader. And that's who the others were, they're followers. Otherwise they would have, competed. Why should you be the leader? Or they would have started their own program. But it's natural. You take, a room full of people, one or two will be the leaders. And everybody else will look for directions. Right? So, there's an arrangement. There's Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, Shudra, natural qualities everywhere. So some will be philosophers, sages, Brahmins. Some will be administrators, the take charge class. Then there'll be some who are the business people and the agriculturalists, and then ordinary workers. So the agriculturalists and the workers should follow the Kshatriya leader. In Kali Yuga, we promise the least qualified people will put you in charge. Your votes will determine how the government runs. Because the Shudras are always the most numerous. Untrained, unskilled, uncultured people are always in the majority. So we want a government selected by the majority. The majority are fools. And so we have a foolish government. Except it's not quite like that. Between the Shudras and the Kshatriyas, or pseudo-Kshatriyas, the remnants of the Kshatriyas and the remnants of the Shudras, we have the remnants of the Vaishyas who make a business out of the government. They're busy sucking money out of the government, getting contracts from the government, making the government subservient to the ultimate goal of life, which is to make money and promote economic development. The GDP becomes the measure for the success of the government. If we're making lots of money, our government must be good. And so you have either a government of businessmen, and then the businessmen, by the use of their money, manipulate the lower class people, take out an ad, and promote something on social media, do this, do that, by one way or another, persuade the less intelligent. Yes, we're the guys. But it's not supposed to be that the lowest two classes rule. In the book of Ecclesiastes, a biblical book, it's lamented, I saw princes walking and, and servants riding on horseback. And it means they also recognized that you can't have an effective social system when everything's topsy-turvy. The natural rulers should be on horseback, and the natural followers should be the ones who walk. Now that's natural. In a business, you can't have everyone be the boss. What's an ideal employee? A person who takes directions from the management. That doesn't mean he can't have a brain, he can't think of anything, he can't suggest anything. But basically his job is, here's what we're doing, okay. And if you don't like that, don't be an employee. Start your own business, which is what the Vaishyas do. Real Vaishya won't be an employee. Can't live like that. If he's a Vaishya, he has to have his own farm or his own business or something of his own, because he doesn't want to live by taking orders from employees, or taking order, or can't live as an employee taking direction from others. Modern educational system trains people to be employees. That's what they're there for. take education from us and then take your diploma in between your teeth and go begging from door to door. Please take me, please take me. I'm a graduate, please take me. So it trains people of a Shudra mentality. But the Kshatriya is not like that. I was in one Middle Eastern country they're naturally a monarchy, but somehow they've been persuaded by other Western countries to have a parliament of some sort with elected officials. It was against their natural way of doing things, but they were persuaded to do it. And so when I was there, I saw the election posters. They were in Arabic, so I couldn't read them. But you could see like one person, stern looking and strong looking, and you could read you could imagine the Arabic would say, I'll make you happy. I'm a strong man, I'll make you happy. Elect me. And there was another poster, sort of beatific looking Arab guy, smiling and benevolent. And you could read the poster. I'm gentle and likable. Elect me and I'll make you happy. So they were like prostitutes. Choose me and I'll make you happy. But that's not a Kshatriya. Kshatriya takes charge. Something else? Yes? Women? They don't fit in. Now, where do they fit in? That's described in Bhagavatam. They fit in as the assistants to their husbands. They're the mothers of the society. They're the mothers and wives. That's their those are their main duties. Not heads of state. And if they have qualified husbands, they'll be very happy. And their energy makes everything go. And men are inspired by women, by their wives. You can read it, seventh canto. Narada is describing to Yudhishthira different duties. Never says the duties of the women is to make money, to take charge of the government. No. But in Kali Yuga they put the women in charge of the government. Hare Krishna. Although even America in the last 2 elections they didn't buy it. Each time the party that fielded a woman as the candidate for president was crushed. So even the ordinary people didn't quite see it. Of course, there are many different reasons why people vote one way or another, but from one analysis I saw, the recent election was very much responding to the idea of, women up front, women up front. And people responded by voting for the opposite party. Yes?
But these rules apply within ISKCON as well, or just for us?
Does what apply in ISKCON? Yeah, you should have people, if you're having people governing things, they should be people who can do it. Why do you want the person who's the expert in cleaning to be the person in charge of the management. Somebody who's expert in management should take charge. The person who's cleaning is as good as the person who's managing on the transcendental platform. There's no difference between the person sweeping the temple and the person managing the temple. It's all on the absolute platform. There's no difference between the men and the women. There's no difference between anyone and anyone else. But people should be engaged according to their characteristics. Any organization, a government, a home, a temple, business.
Just following up on that question, just because it's a transcendental society, can we traverse roads?
Transcendental society doesn't mean transcendental to everything. Transcendental to good sense, transcendental dharma setunam, gopta chap dharma setunam. He'll protect religious principles. Religious principles, dharma means prescribed duties. Doesn't say Maharaj Prithu was transcendental to prescribed duties, so he let it all go hang. He protected the system of prescribed duties. Not that any time we want to argue against a system, we say, oh, transcendental, transcendental. I'm transcendental to the four rules. No. Now, that said, we may adjust according to the time, the place, the people, and so on. But not by invoking this argument, oh, this comes transcendental, so we make the accountants into the cooks into the accountants, because we're all transcendental. There's a difference between transcendental and stupid. Does that seem okay? Yeah. Something else? Okay. Oh, there's a book. Now I have to play the Vaishya. This book is here. Srila Prabhupada's Kirtan Standards. It's written from a perception that Kirtan has really come upon tough times, that people no longer know what standards Prabhupada taught, what standards he set, and so that things go a little... Not to say that there's not lots and lots of wonderful Kirtan in ISKCON, but we benefit from knowing what Prabhupada taught. Those who were directly taught by Prabhupada are all falling off the edge. Time is evaporating. And so before we kick off, if we can preserve something or record something about what Prabhupada taught, that's to our advantage. The book broadly covers two areas. What are the general principles of Kirtan? What should be our mood? What should be our understanding? What should be, what should be the consciousness of Kirtan? And the other is particulars. What mantras should we chant? What mantras shouldn't we chant? What tunes shouldn't we chant? What things shouldn't we do? Things that Prabhupada hated, things that Prabhupada liked, mispronunciations, all lots and lots of particulars for our information. So, broadly those two things. Book has lots of surprises, because there's a lot in ISKCON Kirtan that we've been taught that didn't come from Prabhupada. And it's been so long that nobody even knows that it didn't come from Prabhupada. It's just, well, this is what we've always done. This is what we do. This is what I learned when I joined. And it's been, but it may not be what Prabhupada taught. For example, who here was taught that before each round you should chant Panchatattva mantra? Who here was taught that before each round you should chant Panchatattva mantra? Maybe on the head beat, yeah? About 30%, looks like. Okay, it usually goes from 30 to 70. Someplace between. Here it looks like 30. Prabhupada never taught us that. Surprise. Not that you can't. You can chant Panchatattva mantra anytime, any place, anywhere. But it's not an instruction from Prabhupada that before each round or after each round we should chant the Panchatattva mantra. And certainly nothing from him about doing that on the head beat. It's just something that's been in ISKCON so long that that many people don't remember, that it never came from Prabhupada at all. It's sat in many initiations, and Prabhupada instructed, so you begin here, on this side of the bead, and you chant Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. This way on. You come to the other side, you don't cross over. You turn around and chant again in the opposite direction. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram. And that was it. No Sri Krishna Chaitanya, nothing about the chanting on the head beat, none of that. Just something that came later, and it's been handed down in disciplic succession, although no one has any idea of where the disciplic succession, of where the head bead, Panchatattva mantra, disciplic succession started. You know the story about the cat in the basket? You know the story. How many know that story? Cat in the basket? A few. Okay, we'll tell. This story is told by His Holiness Jayadvaita Swami, that there was a wedding ceremony, and all the bride was there, the groom was there, the family was there, the guests were there, the priests were there, the decorations were there, the fire's there, everything's there, we're all ready to go. But there was a cat that was running around and creating a nuisance, disturbing the whole scene. So somebody intelligent took the cat, threw it in a basket, and put a lid on the basket. And then the ceremony went on nicely. So then, a few decades later, it was time for that couple's daughter to be married. So again, the guests were there, the priests were there, everybody's there, everything's ready to go. But then the mother said, "Wait a second, where's the cat in the basket?" At my wedding, there was a cat. It's a family tradition. So somebody caught a cat and put it in a basket, and then the thing went on nicely. So there's a lot of cat in a basket going on in ISKCON Kirtan. And the idea is just to make clear, what did Prabhupada teach, what did he not teach, what do we have to do, what is optional, what should we never do. So it's really a book intended for the devotees. It's not so much for, I've written another book for an outside audience, Vanity Karma. That's a red book. This is the blue book. So the red book is for the outsiders, for reaching out to non-devotees, non-Indians, Western people mainly, especially young people. So that's a different book, Vanity Karma. Other people may like it, devotees, Indian people, anyone. But it's especially meant for outreach to other audiences. But this book is meant for the devotees. Really, our hope is that every devotee will read it and then be informed. And then, chant what you like, do what you like, but you'll know what Prabhupada said. That's the idea. And we have, as you can see, a whole stack of copies, and you are welcome to pick up a copy and make it yours, and most important, read it. And are you handling the sales, Yastil?
So there's two options. We can just pay with cash or there's pay ID option. Details of the pay ID are just on the slip on the top of the books. It's $25 and Raj, I believe, will be happy to sign a copy. Also, if you could take on this morning. So we have just a handful of copies. Raj's other book, Vanity Karma, is on order and will be in the bookshop in a couple of weeks. So welcome after the class to grab a copy. Payment details are there, and then Raj can sign your copy.
That's the story. Hmm? You have to speak loud, please. I'm getting about 20% of what you're saying.
Usually on Guru Puja we sing Guru Vandana and turn to the deities and we chant Hare Krishna Maha Mantra and read the Kirtan. But sometimes in the middle of the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra, so while singing the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra, we chant other Vaishnava songs and in Tirobhav or at times we song.
That's okay. Yeah. Authorized bhajans you can chant. Is that okay? The topic is dealt with, and there's a good index. You can find things. Anything else? I think we're scheduled later tomorrow to give a class on the topic of kirtan. Am I right? Sunday at 10 o'clock. So Sunday at 10 o'clock, save up your questions, and we'll talk about all these topics. If you've read some of it by then, you can raise questions, objections, what have you. Okay? And Keshav Maharaj follows me, right? Yeah, so then you'll have fun. You'll get nice, good, strong classes. I'm just an old man, but I'm sort of the warm-up act. And Keshav Maharaj will come. You'll get some transcendental enlightenment. All right. Thank you all very much. Hare Krishna. All glories to Srila Prabhupada.